It might be the summer breeze, it might be the summer trees, but I'm feeling better now. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better.
Today on Real Health, we take an in-depth look at the power of positive thinking, the impact it has on our lives, both emotionally and physically. We find out what the benefits of positive thoughts are and how we can effectively harness this positive energy into our lives.
I'm feeling better.
Hello and welcome to Real Health. I'm Stacey Holland. Thanks for joining me today. Well, positive thinking is about much more than just being happy or displaying an upbeat attitude. Positive thoughts can actually create real value in our lives. They can, in fact, change our lives, so much so that I'm living proof of that. In 2015, I decided to start actively changing my thought life after dealing with illness after illness, and the impact that it had on my health astounded me. So to help us better understand how positive thinking can affect your actions and the way that you live, we're joined in studio by Deanne Plunkett. She's an NLP practitioner, and Virginia Bottega, an holistic healer. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me in studio. I'm so excited. I have the books that I've been literally, you can see how I've been digesting these books week after week, month after month. The power of positive thought has changed my life. And Deanne, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah.
What's your take on positive thinking?
I just think that people can create results in their lives by focusing on positive things that they want, not on what they don't want. Of course, you need to identify what you don't want and your problems, but by focusing on positive things that you want to create, you can only move forward in a positive direction from there.
I mean, I loved what you said. It's not focusing on what you don't want. It's more than just being positive and upbeat thinking. There's a direction, there's a purpose, there's a plan to what you're doing, right?
Absolutely. Look, everything starts in the mind. That's your first point of creation, your first point of focus. Everything starts in the mind. There's even that passage in the Bible that says, as a man thinketh, so he is. So everything we think creates our reality. And I always say to my clients, be careful what you think and make sure it's what you want, because that creates your external reality. Your internal reality, so your internal processing, your internal thoughts create your external reality. So yes, it's about taking charge of your mind, but then not wrestling with your mind, guiding it gently along a scale towards positivity.
Okay, and that's where I've heard of neuro-linguistic programming. But for those of us that don't understand what it entails, give us a brief overview.
Sure. Well, NLP is the art and science of communication. So it's about the way we communicate with ourselves and how we communicate with other people in order to get better results and to create excellence in our lives.
And is it about not just what we think, but what we say?
Yes. You're going to make sure that your thoughts are positive. If you catch yourself thinking in the negative, you must correct yourself.
And isn't the easiest way to do that to replace a bad thought by speaking out loud a good thought or a good affirmation or confession?
Well, I think sometimes even just about the way you think about yourself, for example. If you do something that was inappropriate, you may, I did such a stupid thing. Instead of criticizing yourself and saying, I'm so stupid. So you're separating the behavior from the person.
And changing your language a little bit. Virginia, tell us a little bit about what you do as an holistic healer.
So a holistic healer is about dealing with the whole person or the whole being. It has more of a spiritual connotation and context to it. And it also deals a lot with Eastern philosophy rather than Western mindset.
I was going to ask you, is it religious per se, or is it,
It's not religious. So there's a difference between religiousness and spirituality. Okay, so that's a topic for another day. We won't get into that now. But so a holistic practitioner is dealing with the body, the mind, and the spirit. And a lot of my work is working with the mind and the spirit. So I think it's a nice context that we have here today. We have somebody representing the mind, the body, and the spirit, actually, in essence.
Would you say then that positive thinking is something that's on a spiritual, soulish level?
It depends whether you're going to go to myself or one of the other ladies here on the show today. It's how you perceive or want your life to flow. So if you're looking for that spiritual context, then you might find yourself at my door. And I would give a spiritual context to a way of positive thinking, but it's not necessarily that. It is for everybody.
I suppose when I say the word neuro-linguistic programming, it sounds like you're going to plod nodes into my brain and,
Sounds more scientific.
reorder my the way my brain functions. Yet, in a way, that's exactly what you're doing. Do you provide a structured way for me to start thinking differently?
Most definitely. There's certain concepts that, with neuro-linguistic programming, for you to adopt.
Yeah.
And it's very, very practical, simple concepts that you can start applying in your day-to-day life that will immediately start creating positive results for you.
What is the benefit of thinking positive? Besides, we say, it's a good thing, but how so? How does it affect me emotionally? How does it affect me physically as well?
Thinking positively, you are in control of your state. And being in a positive state will allow you to have a positive behavior, which will allow you to have positive results in your life.
Yeah.
As soon as you are in a negative state, your behavior will become undesirable, and you will start noticing undesirable results in your life.
So then I can switch it up and ask you about the negative thoughts and the negative behavior and the damage that it does to us.
So negative thinking or negative emotions are going to create disease in the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that actually.
We don't.
You're dealing with cardiovascular disease or lifestyle diseases, and you can trace it all the way back to thoughts that started. And it may even be, I don't know, I've experienced this. It's a mindset and it's a consciousness that people have and they're not even aware of it. Maybe it's something that they grew up thinking, cardiovascular disease runs in our family.
That's it. And then you've bought into a negative belief
system.
Cancer
runs in our family.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So how do people learn to switch that off, learn to change and progress in a different direction?
So as you said, people aren't even aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you come to us or seek guidance, that's the first thing we'll do is look or go and search for the root of the problem. And very often we find that it's been a negative belief system. People aren't aware of it. So the minute I make you aware of that and say, but Stacey, look at what you're thinking, and I'm able to show you how to change that mindset and replace it with something positive and to disown that belief system, we are moving you to a positive way of thinking rather than a negative way of thinking.
The way I learned to change my thinking is that I didn't even pick up words in my vocabulary that were negative. So for example, I'd say, I know eating well is very difficult.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know him very well, Robin Banks, who's also into positive thinking. He said to me, why don't you use the word challenging instead of difficult? Because challenging still has a positive connotation to it. So I don't know, Deanne, is that something that you do? Is that first assessing people and saying, let's see what's in your speech, what's in your thinking,
Yeah. Look, I think by saying eating well, you're really saying eating well.
Okay,
so the difficult's not
tick.
really the problem. So you're already focusing on eating well.
Yeah, okay.
So that's already in the right step. You've got to look at what the operative words are.
Word is.
Yeah.
What about visualization and mantras? Does that fall into this realm of positive thinking? Is that sort of solidify positive thoughts?
That absolutely falls into my realm of positive thinking. So mantras, affirmations, meditation, prayer work, do you see that brings in the whole holistic, spiritual, emotional connotation?
Yeah.
And that's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yes.
Okay, so but if you come to me and you see me, I will give you, those are the steps I will give you to work with. And that's how I create or bring results and change to my clients.
Okay, so we'll go into mantras and positive affirmations because I'll share with you what's been working for me. And this discussion reminds us that as a man thinketh, so is he. It's something that we at Virginia mentioned earlier on. And when we return, we'll be looking at how we can actually harness and nurture positive thoughts. Stay with us.
I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better.
Today we're talking about a subject that I absolutely love, and it's the power of positive thinking and how our thoughts influence our lives. With me in studio is NLP practitioner Deanne Plunkett and Virginia Bottega, an holistic healer. Ladies, we've spoken a lot about what positive thinking is, and before we went to the break, I said I was going to share with you some of my mantras, and these are the two books that I live by when it comes to changing my mindset. Psycho-Cybernetics was written by a plastic surgeon that realized that even though he was changing people on the outside, it was their thought life that influenced, how their lives would actually turn out. And then Mind Power, and we spoke about this earlier on. So I wrote down all my mantras, and the one that I really liked, because it changed my health journey when I was dealing with illness after illness, was every day in every way I'm getting better and better. So every day my cells are getting better, or every day my thoughts are getting better, my positive attitude or energy is getting better. So mantras really changed things up for me, and you're a big believer of mantras.
Yes, and that's the thought form that I'll give my clients. So once we've got to the root of the issue, I will then get them an affirmation or a mantra that they can work with, along with their meditation. And I was just saying to you earlier that it's so interesting, and I've just read this recently, that it only takes 17 seconds for a positive thought form to be formed. So if you can just hold that positive mantra or thought form for 17 seconds, it only takes that long for other positive thought forms to start attaching to that little nucleus.
And you create this momentum.
And you create your reality and your momentum. Exactly.
That's amazing. Dan, you see it as positive anchors. Explain that to me.
Definitely. I think it's really important for people to understand and recognize environments, situations, whatever they might be doing when they feel positive. It could be watching a movie. It could be surrounded by a certain company where they're laughing. It could be listening to a song. It's very important for them to actually identify, oh, that makes me feel good. And when they do that, they're actually anchoring it. So if they're ever in a state where there might be a few things going wrong in their day, they can now take themselves to that positive anchor, put on that favorite song, or make a phone call to a friend that always uplifts their spirits, and then they can now transform themselves into a positive state.
There's also links to what has become a trendy topic to talk about is mindfulness. And being aware of that good state, so that you can almost replicate a feeling of success, of being happy, of feeling upbeat, right?
That's it, definitely. So that's, again, you're anchoring it.
Okay.
You're identifying your positive thoughts and what is good in your situation and how to rise up from that.
So are both of you firm believers in the law of attraction?
Absolutely. Definitely. That was my starting point.
Oh, really?
That's where I started my journey, was actually with the law of attraction, Esther and Jerry Hicks. Such a simple read, such a beautiful read, but just that repetitive conditioning of getting our minds to a positive state. So that book was life-changing for me, and that was one of the books that started me on my journey.
What's your take on the law of attraction?
I find if you are in certain situations, you're talking to somebody, there's a reason for everything. Topics that might come up, you'll find a reason for it to apply into your daily life. And there's no coincidences either. Synchronicity, definitely.
Just expanding on the law of attraction. If someone's in a difficult situation or a bad situation or a negative space, how do they then move past that into creating a positive space, considering the law of attraction?
So you need to realize that what you're thinking, you're attracting. What you are vibrating, you are attracting. And that is the law of attraction, that you're almost like a magnet and you're attracting whatever you're thinking towards you. Okay, so you just have to ask for it and you will receive it. But make sure that it's positive. So if you're in a difficult state, as we said earlier, instead of being on subconscious autopilot, just repeating the same negativity over and over, affirming the negative space that you're in, start trying to acknowledge that space and then replace it with where you'd like to be and something positive, because then you start to attract the positivity into that space. And if you're willing to change, that change pushes you into a positive direction.
Willing to change, We're going to pick up on that and the first steps that someone can take, baby steps, into developing a more positive mindset. Before we do, though, the Real Health team caught up with Kathleen Elder. She's a yoga instructor and holistic health coach, just to find out how positive thoughts affect your body. Let's check it out.
Hi, I'm Kathleen. I am a yoga instructor, Pilates instructor, and a lifestyle coach. And I teach people how to get in touch with themselves, how to create better lifestyles for themselves and approach life in a good way. Positive thinking to me is about being able to change our perception on how we see things. Let me quote Monty Python. It's where they say, always look on the bright side of life, whether that perception is about ourselves, whether that perception is about somebody else, whether that perception is about a situation. Things happen to us that we don't necessarily like, but we can't always look at them or look at ourselves as a bad thing. We have to see it as, okay, what am I learning from here? So that's a form of positive thinking, is to try and understand that what opportunity is presenting itself to me rather than why is this happening to me. We have good days, we have bad days. We have a fight with our husband or our child, or we get into a car accident. I mean, this causes us to have negative thoughts. The main root is actually fear-based. Fear of losing somebody, fear of not doing something correctly, fear of things not turning out the way we would like them to be. Sometimes something happens because we need to learn how to be stronger or how to have more faith in ourselves. So we get put into a situation that brings out the best in us. That's why it's always so important to be able to take a step back, look objectively and go, okay, now what? Where am I moving from here? Where is this? How can I turn this negative experience into something positive? For a beginner to be able to adopt positive thinking, you can't just suddenly wake up one day and go, I'm going to be this positive person. It doesn't happen. One of the easiest ways is, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard about this, is positive affirmations. So you get up in the morning and you look at yourself in the mirror and you make a positive affirmation. Let's say you want to lose weight. Or you don't even know you want to lose weight, but you think the issue or your self-esteem might not be feeling that good. Looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, today I'm looking good, today I'm feeling good. Really telling yourself that you look good and feel good works wonders. It's a fantastic affirmation, it's very simple, and the more you repeat it, the better it actually is. Meditation does help, but not everyone can go into this meditative state. So if you're feeling stressed and you're thinking, I can't think clearly, I can't have a positive thought right now, stop. Take a few breaths. You count your breaths, breathing in slowly in and out, listening to the sound of the breath. And I know I shouldn't say this, but yes, sometimes people need something, food. Now, don't say be a comfort eater, that's not what I'm saying, but sometimes you just need a little piece of chocolate or something like that, just something that helps to boost that feel-good thing about yourself. There are a lot of foods that can help with moods or helping to uplift our moods. A quick, simple solution, look, I do say avoid sugar as much as possible because it does give you an excessive high and then it drops you quite a bit, and especially if you are prone to mood swings, it's not a good thing. A cup of coffee, not 10 cups. A cup of coffee or a cup of tea. You always hear people saying, oh, I could really do with a cup of tea right now, and it does work. It just gives you that lift. It's got tea and coffee have a lot of antioxidants in it. It does help to stimulate chemicals in the brain. It does help to liven up the brain and help the brain function better as well. There are lots of benefits to positive thinking. I mean, just from a purely emotional perspective, we do know that when you're not feeling good and you're feeling down and you get yourself down in a slump, so something else we can also do to help us have a more positive approach to life, we've all heard this, doctors always say it, exercise, definitely. Even if it's gentle exercise, going for a walk, the exercise itself stimulates the feel-good emotions. So from a physical perspective, just having a positive outlook gives you more energy during the day. It's better for health. We're able to think more clearly and approach things from a more objective point of view, looking at what you have as opposed to what you don't have.
I love that, and sometimes it means just starting by being grateful and being grateful for what you have and not what you don't have. We'll chat about it in a short while. But next up, we'll look at the influence our nutritional choices have on our thought processes with nutritional therapist Jean van Zyl. So don't go away. Stay with us.
I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better.
So today on the show, we've been chatting about the power of positive thinking and how it affects us holistically. And joining our discussion is nutritional therapist Jean van Zyl. She'll take us through the role our diet and nutritional choices play in the way that we think. Jean, you're looking lovely. Thank you for joining us on Real Health. What's your take on positive thinking, especially as a nutritionist?
I think you can't disregard either one of the two angles. So as these ladies said, and so thoroughly, it's a choice. In a lot of cases, it's really just making the choice to stop trains of thoughts that's damaging and destructive to you.
Yeah.
But you cannot disregard the importance of nutrition, because nutrition provides the building blocks to build the brain chemicals, to build the hormones, to build so many biological components that's involved with your emotional well-being. So I think, disregarding either one of the two angles, you're still not going to feel emotionally well and balanced.
So for some people that are actually might struggle to think better first, it might be a solution for them to start eating better, and then their thought life follow suit. You've got some lovely goodies in front of you. Do you want to take us through them? I see raw cacao nibs or beans.
Yeah.
Chocolate always makes us feel better.
It always does, and it's so amazing to understand why. I think we should have like a whole show just on chocolate.
Oh, that's
but
nice.
But the healthy chocolate. So raw cacao, if you buy chocolate at your supermarket, it has 80 to 90% less of the goodness that you get in raw cacao. So if you think about the way chocolate affects you, feeling euphoric and amazing, and everything in life is just okay when you eat a chocolate, it's 80 to 90% reduced from what you can get from raw cacao. Wow. It has serotonin in it, the happy hormone. It is rich in dopamine. And dopamine, if you think about positivity, dopamine is more involved with that. So serotonin, happy, dopamine, motivation, and the positive energy to make good choices. The
passion for life, waking up and knowing you want to do X, Y, and Z.
Exactly. Wow. And I mean, if you think about it, what do we crave the first thing in the morning is coffee. Yeah. And coffee increases our dopamine. So raw cacao, not just serotonin, but also dopamine. Okay. And it's a natural antidepressant because it has, this is a very long and technical word, it's called monoamine oxidase inhibitors. And that's basically medical antidepressants.
Oh, wow.
So it keeps your dopamine and serotonin circulating in your brain, making you feel good, not just, for 5 minutes, like most of instant gratification strategies do, but it keeps it circulating and keeps you motivated and happy and positive.
So all the benefits, but without the sugar.
Exactly.
What else do you have in front of you?
I have Camu, and it's a Amazon superfood.
Camu.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Duran, say it twice. So it's very rich in vitamin C, and if you just think about vitamin C, boosting your immune function, it's an antioxidant, so it protects your cells, even your brain cells, and then it calms the nervous system. So Camu is known to be a nervous system protector, and it also helps with depression, anxiety, and it just provides you with so many nutrients to enable your body to be healthy and happy. So Camu is also beautiful. Okay. This one I got in London, so you won't get that exactly product here, but it's ashwagandha, which you can get in a capsule form, in a tea form, in a tincture form. And ashwagandha, it's an adaptogen. So basically what an adaptogen does is it helps your body and your mind cope with stress. And I think 99.9% of the viewers have some sort of stress in their lives. And once again, you can't disregard the effect that stress has on your emotional state.
Yeah, definitely.
So I love giving adaptogens to my clients. The diet is important, the nutrient intake, the chocolate. Yeah. But you have to take into account that most people, and in fact all people, are struggling with stress. And what tools are you giving them? NLP tools and mental tools, but also physiological tools to enable their body to have that resilience to cope with stress. Yeah. So that's why I love ashwagandha.
Do you guys, I mean, yes, nutrition might not be your forte, but is that something that you bring into with regards to your patients in terms of their program and how to live a more positive life?
With my clients, in the end, you need to make sure they're operating from a physiology and a psychology of excellence. Yeah. So what they're putting into their body is so important. So diet is one of the things I will always check to make sure that they're putting in healthy foods.
Because there's this interplay that happens all the time.
Yeah, you can't expect your mind to be operating on 100% if your body's not. So they definitely go hand in hand.
If someone is watching and saying, okay, great, I get the benefits of this, but I just don't know where to start. What's step one? I said it was being grateful. Gratitude for me was a big thing.
I have to agree, an attitude of gratitude. It's such a simple thing you can do in your car, at a robot, washing dishes, waking up in the morning, attitude of gratitude. That already starts to change your vibration.
Where would you tell people to start?
So one of the things, if somebody's complaining about something physically or in their life, so they're complaining. So what is the problem? They identify the problem. So you ask them, what is the problem not? And that will then get them to start thinking about the things that they have got.
That's amazing.
So similar,
So I absolutely love today's topic because it is what has single-handedly changed my health over the past 12 months. If today's topic has resonated with you, remember you can share your comments and your suggestions by emailing us on info@thehomechannel.co.za. Also, if you want to get in touch with these beautiful ladies, find out what their recipes are, where they practice, you can go to our website, which is thehomechannel.co.za for more detail. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and I'll leave you with my favorite health mantra by Mind Power teacher Robin Banks. You're healthy, vibrant, and lean. Love and take care of your being. We'll see you next time.
But I'm feeling better. better now. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better.